I think inspiration of the right kind can change mindsets. Early stage startups don't get enough love because their probability of success and the time they take to be successful is a lot. People are like, oh no, these are just hippies, they've got a lot of passion, but they don't have the skills and the tools to make something that will be profitable. We are not cavemen that can only think of very few things and just valuation, more money, more valuation. No.
This guy left his 1 crore salary at Goldman Sachs to create one of India's leading co-working spaces called 91Springboard. He has till now built over 8 businesses, sold 1 to MakeMyTrip, and currently building Build3, a startup that is impacting the life of impact startups. I have with me Varun Chawla, co-founder of Build3, co-founder of 91Springboard, and right now we're taking our podcast to new heights, 160 feet high at Horizon Sky Experiences at Grand Hyatt. Varun, welcome to our podcast, Hey Entrepreneur How To. Today, I want to dig deep into your minds and inspire entrepreneurs on how to build better, more purposeful businesses, startups, re-establish themselves. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure, my privilege.
So, Varun, my first question to you. You've been building businesses for the last few decades, right?
2 decades. I'm only 4 decades old.
For over 2 decades.
Yes.
Right? You worked with different types of startups, businesses across all journeys. How to start and scale a business?
Now, I've recently had the privilege to debate this with colleagues from our most recent cohort at Build3. I had a very clear vision of how this is done, but they debated that there's actually one other way to do this too. So I at least know 2. My way is a problem that's bugging me. I use that energy, that scratch that I have, that itch that I have. I use that positive energy and convert it into an idea, into a product that solves that problem that I have. And if I'm able to solve with a product or solution my problem really well, I believe that it's probably a problem for 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000 other people also. And so then I know I'm on my way to building something of use. So it starts with a personal pain. I develop a solution for myself, and then I scale it up for a solution to be for many other people. That's my way of doing things, a personal pain point. An argument I heard from some really smart people in just these last 2-3 months is, hey, we can assess market opportunities. We can assess challenges and pain points for a lot of people. And we can then reverse engineer a solution to that once we understand large market needs, large gaps in the world, and we can build something based on that, even if it's not a personal problem, because we have the intellectual horsepower to understand, we can empathize, and we can build something of value. And I can't fully fault that way of thinking. I know several people, very intelligent people, who didn't have personal passion or a personal challenge to start with, but along the way figured it out. You know, the love marriage versus the arranged marriage, you do eventually fall in love. Something like that.
One word that I've caught about is figuring it out, right? Entrepreneurship is all about figuring it out.
Yeah.
You work with entrepreneurs that are sometimes starting up, sometimes pivoting.
Yeah.
Right? They have to figure out their magic sauce on their way. Right? How is Build3 adding to this magic sauce, and what is it that entrepreneurs need to do to systematically figure it out, right? Because figure out is, I can do things, make mistakes and learn. That's the traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
But with today's access to technology, learnings, case studies, mentorship, what is your route, a step-by-step route to figuring it out the right way?
Yeah, no, amazing. Thank you for that question. I think while I'm still discovering the perfect answer, I have my initial hypothesis on which we have built Build3, right? And so we say at Build3, we're your partners. We provide 3 things to every one of our partners, which is capability. So all the knowledge and information that we have gathered through our own experiences, the Build3 team brings that in service to our founders and partners who we work with. The second one is community. We connect them with curated vendors, good price, high quality, curated mentors, curated investors, and other founders who are on the journey. When you're surrounded with all these sort of people, that positive energy comes together and just magic happens. The last one, fuel, capital, money. Every startup needs this. So we've curated these 3 aspects in our offering to founders. And we deliver this in what we call a Sherpa style, right? Sherpas is this community of Nepali mountain climbers that are very adept at mountain climbing, right? So when these European mountain climbers would come to Nepal and they'd say, I'm going to scale Mount Everest, a Sherpa would go with them. The celebration was all around the European coming. The Sherpa does this, I'm exaggerating, every weekend, right? They can do this easily, but it's new for the European. But the Sherpa eats up their pride. They have all the knowledge and they say, I'm going to take this knowledge, I'm going to bring it in service of this new person who's come from a foreign land to climb this peak. So they talk about which animals, which clothes, how many days, tent material, oxygen, everything the mountain climber needs for a successful climb. We are like those Sherpas. We've climbed several of our own mountains, but today it's about the startup we're working with, the founder that we're working with, and we bring that mentality to play for the founder in service of the founder's journey. We're not looking for us to be celebrated, we're looking to work in service for the founders.
Wow, I think that's a great, a 3-step process that you talk about. I would call it the 3 C's, right? The first C you spoke about was capability, the second you spoke about community, and the third is currency, right? Which is funding.
Capital, exactly.
Right? Yes. So in marketing, we've connected these 3 C's to, as we say, businesses need clarity, businesses need communication, and businesses need to consistently communicate all of these things. Right? So your 3C philosophy of Build3 combined with, I think, 3 C's of marketing, which is you give them clarity at the end of the day. Right? You communicate their vision to their team. And at the end, being a part of Build3, they are consistently going towards the goal, right? It's not that, okay, you come, take a business plan, implement it by yourself. Here, you as a Sherpa are climbing the Mount Everest with them. Right? You're not saying, okay, come, let's climb Mount Everest. I take you at the bottom of the hill and now climb, right? So
here's a plan. Good luck. Bye-bye. No.
Right? So
we're coming with you.
I was reading about Build3, right? That you all invest in social startups, right? Startups that impact the world.
Yes.
Again, coming back to marketing, right? There are the 4 P's of marketing that we have: price, promotion, place. And in your case, I've seen a very strong sense in a different sort of 4 P's, which is passion, purpose, people, and planet, right? Which you want to bring in Build3. Right? So if you can talk about how to build purposeful businesses, again, a step-by-step, how to build a purposeful business beyond the typical valuation game.
Sure. Thank you. And I love how you put in these 4 P's. So basically, I spent a decade building a company I'm proud and privileged to have been a part of, which is 91Springboard. I feel we scaled really strong heights and we continue to scale even more, right? But there was this key moment during COVID where I had the chance to introspect, right? I think it was a moment where many of us got a chance to sort of put our heads up from our daily lives, look around and sort of like see what's in our hearts and minds, right? And for me, it was a time to use the Ikigai framework, where you ask yourself 4 important questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And how can you make money doing it?
Oh, super.
And when I did this reflection, I realized I love working with early stage startups. I've worked with many early stage startups before, my own. I've consulted with many, I've mentored many, I've invested in quite a few. So I said, I've got a lot of experience doing this. And I said, what does the world need? And early stage startups don't get enough love because their probability of success and the time they take to be successful is a lot. So people don't really support them. And then when you say, these are going to be impact startups, not just early stage, people are like, oh no, these are just hippies. They've got a lot of passion, but they don't have the skills and the tools to make something that will be profitable. So I said, I love this, I'm good at this is what the world needs. Let me figure out a business model. And I basically figured out this accelerator startup studio business model where we write a check, we work alongside them as Sherpas, we create something of value, and then we share in that value that we have created, right? So that's the model we've built. So today at Build3, we run cohorts twice a year of, the last cohort was 30 people. Let's see how big the next one is. And we have 15 amazing startups that have come out of that. And we write checks and we work alongside them. Now, these founders come in different shapes and sizes. You ask me, what's the formula to build a profitable and with purpose startup? I'd struggle to give you one, but here's two archetypes that are coming true. One is an experienced entrepreneur that has capitalistic tools, but has recently realized and founded in themselves that they don't want to just build for fame and fortune. They also want to make the world a better place, right? Do they want to remove plastic from the oceans? Do they want to improve the state of mental wellness? Do they want to change how education is done in this world? Do they want to make our bodies healthier by putting healthier food? Different things I'm hearing from different founders, all inspiring, all unique, all amazing. So you can either come from a place where you have capitalistic skills and now you're working towards a purpose. The United Nations has defined some of these purposes through the Sustainability Development Goals, and they've done a really good job.
The SDGs.
There's 17 SDGs and many sub-goals. So people that are building towards these SDGs but have capitalistic skills is one archetype I've noticed. The other archetype is the passion person who has a problem and they really want the world a better place. You know, like Greta, I think, is one of those sort of people. I talk about her like I know her, I don't, but Greta Thunberg, I think she's one of those sort of people who has passion and she's figuring out her process on the way. So when you meet younger people who don't have capitalistic experience, who haven't been in the workforce, but they have ideals, these people can learn the skills along the way. So I think they look like these two different groups, one who has the skills and gets the heart along the way, and one who starts with the heart and gets the skills along the way. I think there's both types. And in this group, we've got people that have got PhDs, people are straight out of college, people who've done 2 startups, people who do the first startup, people who are from Goa, people who are from other cities. So there's this whole mix that we're finding. People who've been building for a year and a half, people who are just going to start building tomorrow. So we've got this whole mix, and I think founders come in all shapes and sizes, and it's just our privilege to work with them and build something awesome together.
That's amazing, right? So you spoke about purpose. Right? So it's a big word people use, right? Find your why, find your purpose.
Yeah.
But if you look at businesses, typically businesses are gauged by one key metric. What is your top line? Or what is your bottom line? Right? How do we put a metric to purpose? Right? How do we put a metric to how many lives you are impacting? Right? So how is that something that at Build3 we are imbibing within a metric that measures passion, not purpose, impact? Is that something that you can talk to entrepreneurs at this? Yes, now you found your ikigai moment. This is how you should measure yourself. This is how you should measure success, because you've seen success in different aspects of life, right? You've seen success as an employee. You pulling in a 1 crore salary in 2005. You then had multiple startups, one of them bought by MakeMyTrip. You've been a co-founder to one of India's leading co-working spaces, and probably the top of the mind co-working space right now.
Thank you.
Now you're building Build3. So you've seen different types of successes. So how do we, one is define success, and 2 is put a metric to success which is not revenue driven.
Oh, thank you for this. I think for the last, let's say, a decade and a half that I've seen the entrepreneurship or startup revolution in India, the media has celebrated 1 or 2 major metrics, right? They tend to be how much you've raised and at what valuation. That's where this term unicorn also comes from, right? $1 billion valuation is a unicorn. Now, while I think that is something worth celebrating, making it the number one thing to celebrate, the North Star of celebration, I feel is a fallacy. As a startup, I believe it comes from a place of, I want to solve a problem for a lot of people. So, how many people did you solve the problem for? How well did you solve the problem? What are the other people you impacted along the way, which could be investors, which could be employees, which is vendors. You want to know, were they satisfied with the workplace? Did they learn in your workplace? Did they get good benefits in the workplace? Were they treated fairly? Did your investors get good regular updates? Did they get a good reasonable return on their money? Did your vendors get paid on time? Did they get clear proposals, answers to their proposals on what is the scope of work, etc.? There's so many stakeholders that we work with. Did we treat all of them well and fairly? Right? I want us to change to thinking of the world that way, right? And there's a term for this also. It's called environment, social and governance, or also sometimes summarized as ESG. How we build our businesses. It's not just building a business, but what was the quality of that journey, right? Did we just run through it without looking left and right and we reached the end and like, or did we stop to look left and right and help out a puppy or take care of a person, an elderly lady cross the road, and did we water a plant on the way? Like, what was the quality of that journey, right? And I'm saying, let's bring more elements to measure. Let's not be so simple. We are not caveman that can only think of very few things and just valuation, valuation, more money, more valuation. No, I think we're more sophisticated, capable of absorbing a more complex way of thinking. So let's think about all of our stakeholders and how we can celebrate a wide variety of successes that we're creating through our entrepreneurial journey, not just the one. I think investment received and valuation is an input. Let's celebrate our outputs. Right? How many people did we serve? How delighted were they? Right? How many jobs did we create? How much did we improve their lifestyles, their homes, their families? Right? How did we give back to society? Right? How did we treat our vendors? These are our outputs. Let's talk about this also. So that is something very, very important to me. I'm not giving you an easy answer, right? I'm not giving you one metric. I'm saying it needs to be 10. But let's think about this in the beginning of our journey, and with every one of our startups, we say, hey, let's figure out a metric. Some of the world says, hey, let's just say we've offset carbon so many tons, let's just measure in that way. Some people, some stakeholders say, let's just talk about employment and let's talk about that metric. I think this is an oversimplification to something that's very complex and very sophisticated. So let's not make things too simple. If it is complex, let's make it elegant, but let's celebrate at least to the level of complexity a complex problem deserves, right? So let's talk about customers served. Let's talk about delight. Let's talk about employees employed, how well they felt employed, how much we gave back to society in different ways, on top of how much we raised and what we're valued and our revenues and profits, right? I forgot to mention profits. Let's not talk about how much money we took in, how much revenue top line. Let's talk about the bottom line, right, baby? Top is just taking money from VCs and then spending it. Can we build something amazing with it? The proof of building something amazing is profit and the feedback of the hundreds of thousands of people you touch. All of that. Let's start to measure that.
Absolutely. Guys, so what I've not done in my previous podcast is I'm going to run a small exercise for you. Let's figure it out now, right? ESG. What value are you adding? Take a step back. Think about your business right now. What is your purpose? What is it that you're doing for the planet? What is the value you're adding to your employees, your stakeholders, investors? Map the whole cycle out, right? Comment below, send us an email, send Varun, we want to know your story, we want to know the impact you're creating so that we can impact more lives. So that's the simple goal of our podcast, is created to impact the lives of entrepreneurs, and anyone that wants to get into business.
Thank you, right? So I appreciate you said that. Thank you.
So do this exercise now and get back to us. That was deep. That was very powerful. The way you defined success, the way you defined, spoke more about value, right? Instead of valuation. So let's get back to value.
Yeah.
Right? From a value standpoint, right? How to create value across the business cycle, right?
Yeah.
Which means when I'm starting up, as you said, can we create value for the investor? Can we at the same time create value for our customer and the employee? Can it be a win-win-win across the whole cycle, right?
Yes.
So, do you have a method to track value creation versus valuation?
Yes. So I think we have a framework to enable this conversation. So with every founder in the beginning of the journey, we talk about what they're passionate about, and we lay out a purpose. We lay out a set of values we will use to achieve this purpose, and then a BHAG, or a big, hairy, audacious goal, what we want to achieve. And then we say, we will promise to achieve this, and we will track this by laying out 5 to 10 metrics for ourselves, which weekly or monthly we will track as a business. It doesn't mean on day one what you did is locked in forever. Maybe 3 months later you realize, hey, I thought these would be my metric, but I need to change them a little bit. That's okay. These are your metrics. The real promise you're making is, I will promise to track not only financial metrics, but also operational metrics and also my impact metrics. I will track all three. What these metrics are for each company is different. I'll give you a couple of examples, right? I work with a mutual friend of ours who runs a travel experience startup, right? And they said their dream really is to take somebody who has a certain ability, like they're a surfer, or they can help you go kayaking, or they can take you trekking to the most amazing parts of Goa, right? How can this person earn a living? They said, we want to make sure this person can earn 30,000 rupees a day. A good, reasonable life.
From passion to profit.
Exactly. Now that's what they want to deliver. They want to get hundreds of people, thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people earning 30,000 rupees because of their platform. That's impact to me, right? That's measuring impact in a new and unique way. We're just working with a healthy food startup, right? And her passion is, look, she's been through a journey where she's been through disease and disorder because of what she ate. And she learned the hard way what to put in her body. Many young people, myself included until a few years ago, didn't know what to put in our bodies. She does. By preparing good food and educating people, making it convenient, yet providing knowledge with that convenience of what is healthy for you, she's going to change lives. What she's decided to measure is, when I get repeat users, somebody buys a meal from me 5 times or more, I will say I've changed this person's life because they're eating healthy and tasty at the same time, and they're learning about the food that they're eating. Or somebody takes a monthly subscription plan 2 months in a row. That means they liked it and they came back. That means
That's the impact metric.
They've grown. That's the impact metric. I've changed a person's wellness trajectory, right? And I could go on, but for every startup, it can be a little bit different. And that's okay. Let's not try to find the one unifying simple metric. As I said, we're not simple creatures. We are complex creatures. I encourage us as entrepreneurs to think a little bit out of the box, use our intelligence, and bring more to the table than simplicity of one metric.
Super. So moving out of metrics, right?
Yeah.
We spoke a lot about metrics in the last few minutes. I want to talk about entrepreneurs, right? Startups, something that you can't measure, yet the most important in being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's called mindset.
Yeah.
So as someone who's nurtured countless number of entrepreneurs and startups, how to nurture mindset? Because there's always potential, right? There's always hidden potential. There's always untapped potential.
Yeah.
How to nurture potential and how to change mindset?
That's a really hard one, right? Like, we can learn something new typically in months, right? You want to learn mountain climbing, you can go every day, you can learn it. You want to become a great mixologist, you can take a course, you can learn it. And knowledge can be acquired in months or weeks. New behaviors, new traits takes years. Sometimes even a lifetime is not enough for some people. I have found there's certain traits that make for good entrepreneurs, but nurturing them is an altogether different ballgame. I think the only thing that I've seen work is if somebody is inspired, then they change their trait. Let me go into an example that some of us are familiar with. Smoking.
Yeah.
That's a trait or a behavior that we just fall into the habit at some point in our lives, and then it's hard to give up. And then we've all seen people who try to, by reading a book or using patches, try the hard way, but they struggle. But many people, they just see a family member who has disease, or they see a child born in the family and they don't want that child to be impacted by smoke. Overnight, mindset switches, they are inspired, they change, and suddenly no smoke, cold turkey, done, never going to smoke again. I've seen this so often, right? I think inspiration of the right kind can change mindsets. But you need that moment that just spoke to you. It's not the same moment that speaks to everybody. A different thing is going to inspire you, different things are going to inspire me. But I think if you're around inspiring people that are doing the right things, sooner or later you'll pick up and you will take some of those and make them your own personality, right? So I think the one big change we've done at Build3, and I realize through a long journey, I'm actually tooting my own horn a little bit here, apologies for this. We're running now a cohort program instead of working with one startup at a time, one set of founders at a time. And what this cohort brings is there are 31 people together in the same space for 2.5 months. Each one has different skills. Some works 18 hours a day. Some has this crazy ability to pick up stuff from YouTube videos and books. Some has a crazy ability to speak and orate. Some has a crazy ability to show empathy and build teams and make people feel warm and comfortable. You need all of these traits to be a good entrepreneur. But you won't have all of these on day one. But if you're around all of these people, they will inspire you in some way or the other. And after these 2.5 months, because as I said, it just takes a moment of inspiration, you will take a few more of these powerful traits and make them your own. So, in a nutshell, I don't think there's a formula. There's a few good ones that I mentioned.
You've given it. I think you said that. I don't think there's formula. I think you said it systematically. Right?
I've said an
Get
environment.
inspired by meeting more people.
Yes.
Get inspired by being around inspirational, like-minded people.
Yes.
And I think that's the formula, right? Meet more people, network more, go for the right events, get inspired, and take success stories from people that have taken similar leaps that you want to take, and be inspired. I think that's the formula that they've given. I think it's absolutely beautiful. If you like this inspirational, talk that's happening right now with Varun, it's great nuggets of content that's, I think, motivational. It's definitely sparked something within me as well. The social angle of it. How do I add value to environment, my team, everyone? I think if this has inspired you, don't forget to give us a subscribe, give us a like, follow us, comment, share the love. We want to inspire one entrepreneur at a time, right? Every podcast with amazing speakers like Varun. Varun, you've been part of 91Springboard. You've been part of a corporate. You've been part of startups. What is the commonality you see in successful business people?
I feel, and this is of course very, very personal, I think success is deemed by the world when you push the boundaries or you do something new in some area, right? Like, I think there is success when you become managing director of a company, the corporate scheme. There is success when you build a startup that serves millions of customers who get delight from your product. There's success if you take care of people who need your support and love and care, like say Mother Teresa, right? Success is in different domains, different things. But when you stand out from the average, when you push the boundaries, that is success. So when you don't settle for a certain level, you push yourself to be better every day, which means you're learning, you're growing, and you're doing more for others than for yourself. I think that's the combination that leads to success in whatever domain you choose. There'll be people that will recognize that you're doing something a little bit different and you're doing things with a good heart and with lots of energy and drive. I think that's success.
Wow. So I like the way you define success, right? It's you nowhere once spoke about money, right? You never once spoke about, right? So I read a book somewhere, happiness is a muscle, right? So I think it's all beautifully structured by you. There's simple formulas on things to do, right? To attain what you define as success. So guys, first step today, I want all of you guys to go and define your success. What does success mean to you? Varun, you spoke about taking small steps every day.
Yeah.
As entrepreneurs, even in business, forget entrepreneurs, as human beings, we are so used to the right swipe, right? You want food, you right swipe it. You want a date, you right swipe it. You want groceries, it's everything is available at a click of a button instantly.
Yeah.
How to create entrepreneurs that play the long game?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't expect to build.
Yeah.
You either make $1 million in 1 year or you make $5 billion in 5 years.
Sure.
Right? So how do you do it? What's your formula to telling entrepreneurs, okay, sprint in the short run?
Yeah.
But it's a marathon. Business is a marathon. Yeah. So how to play the long game?
I think this goes back to some of the qualities of being a good entrepreneur and sort of engendering them in yourself. So focus, persistence, patience, creativity, collaboration. These are the top ones that come to my mind. Finding these and bringing these into our life is most likely going to result in a formula where you will find success in your chosen area.
But how do we battle the new age influencers talking about 2x in 1 month, 3x in 3 months? It's so I think that's the bigger battle that we are challenging.
Exactly.
Every entrepreneur wants to now leave their college, because obviously the guys that have started up companies, these guys have left from colleges like Harvard and Stanford. They're not just leaving. So with a thoroughly thought business plan, right? But the new age gurus talking about 2x, 3x, grow your business, leave your company right now, job is a jail, so again, so we need to, how do we break this so-called instant growth formula, right? Because there's no insta mix in business.
Yeah, I think in a nutshell, there's a focus on materiality, whether it's valuation or it's personal money or it is the things we create for people or the world. As soon as we change gears a little bit from the material to what can I do that feels right for me and my chosen customer, my audience, what feels right. If we focus on that and with a single-minded, narrow focus, and we just put, as we said, one step ahead of the other in that endeavor, we will create something beautiful for ourselves and for this audience. And the side effect could be some material things. Like you could make a lot of money, and then, there's a younger Bill Gates wanted to acquire a lot of money. But there's the older Bill Gates that wants to do good things with that money, right? So I think, but his single-minded focus still was, I want to build an amazing operating system that's going to bring an easy-to-use desktop in every home in the world. Every person should have the power of personal computing at their doorstep, at their fingertips, so it empowers them, brings productivity, brings new things into their journeys as individuals. That was his single-minded purpose, right? And when he achieved that, yes, he got wealth. Now, he could have used that wealth to do a bunch of fancy things, which he did, but he also used that wealth to do a bunch of good things for the world. His good friend Warren Buffett did something very similar. Actually, he did it first, where he decided to give away, I think, all of his wealth other than $2 billion, if I remember right. Sorry, I'm not fully sure. I think that's what he did. So yeah, find a purpose that drives you, non-material, work towards that with all of those qualities I said, focus, persistence, diligence, quality. And when you achieve that, yes, you'll get some of the material stuff, but don't pursue the material stuff.
What a great summary to the whole podcast, right? Find your purpose, focus, take one step at a time, and you will reach your goal. Right?
Yes.
You will make money. There's nothing wrong in being materialistic. Yeah, get a good car, build all of that. But at the same time, a singular focus to building the right business and doing right things for the society, right things for the environment, right things for yourself, right thing for your team. That's Varun Chawla in a nutshell. I think everyone watching this podcast here today there has been a light bulb moment definitely for everyone watching this podcast. Varun, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It has definitely inspired me to go and do more for the environment, do more for society.
Thank you.
So we've created this podcast with motivational entrepreneurs like Varun, who is doing much more than building companies that have high valuation, but building companies that create value across the business ecosystem. So thank you, Varun, for being a part of our podcast. If you like what you're hearing and seeing, please don't forget to follow, subscribe. Hey Entrepreneur, How To with Floyd. My name is Floyd Tavares, co-founder of Dranding Consulting, a brand consulting firm based out of Goa. And again, thank you for listening to our podcast.